Are there any public comments?
Yes, ma'am. I have Ms. Linda Nykum.
For the record, Linda Nykum. Most of my questions were answered in the presentations, which were extremely detailed. There was one comment made about battery storage, which I would like to find out a little bit more about. And also in the paperwork that was provided, it mentioned that the businesses would be working on septics and wells. And I would like to know what kind of control we need on that. Is it so far out that, you know, that's required? But adding more septics that close to the river and the lake may be questionable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chloe Seuperger.
And Madam Chair, just very briefly, I was just going to offer the thought as folks, if they have questions or anything like that, my advice on this one, because we do have folks here to speak and so on, is let folks go ahead and you know, say what they have to say, ask their questions, and then those can be addressed when public comment is all done.
So as Mr. Wade just said, we will allow public to address their concerns and make their public comment, and at the end, the applicant will address any questions they feel the need to address.
Good evening, Chair and board members. My name is Chloe Seuperger, and I'm honored to introduce myself as the new Chief Executive Officer for the Economic Council of Indiantown. I'm here today, though, to speak in support of this proposed PUD zoning agreement. Ultimately, this is a decision that's about setting parameters for what's considered in the future, and also it's a clear framework for evaluating the potential development. The PUD gives the village a whole flexibility that regular zoning just does not. If we're gonna have a thoughtful approach, this is the way to do it for future development. Indiantown historically is tied to industry. Some of us still know it as a company town. And also, if we go back into the history, it was a trading post originally. Strong industry is what the community ends up feeling. They feel it when the employment rates rise, when small businesses prosper, and when the stability and the residents all feel the economic foundation of the community. The Economic Council is focused on sustainable economic development that's going to happen here in the village. This includes expanding a tax base, supporting the local job creation, while also reinforcing what this community is founded on. This PUD gives us the ability to have that flexibility to sustain what the village is sustained on, and these goals that the Economic Council has. So once again, I'm speaking on behalf of the Economic Council in support of this PUD. Thank you.
Jenny Bussey.
Hello, my name is Jenny Bussey, and I'm a lifelong Indiantown resident. I own and operate Hometown Cleaning Services, and my family has been in the community for decades. As a small business owner, I depend on well-respected businesses like FP&L bringing more opportunities to our area, which supports businesses like mine. I'm out here every day working, and when there's more activity, more jobs, and more investments in the community, that trickles down to small business owners like me. It means more customers, more steady work, and more stability. This kind of opportunity isn't just about big companies, it's about the people who live here, raise families here, and are trying to build something for themselves in Indiantown. FP&L has been part of this community for a long time. They've shown up, supported local organizations countless times. That means something when you live here. I just encourage everyone to think about what this could mean for the future of Indiantown and our small businesses, our children, and our families. Please support this item. Thank you.
Donna Carmen.
Sorry, guys, a little bit. Donna Carmen, resident of Indiantown, Little Ranch Estates. I've been part of this community for a long time. as many of you on this committee have as well. I've seen Indiantown through a lot of different seasons, and I care deeply about where we're headed. I've seen what it looks like when organizations truly show up for a community, not just once, but over time. FP&L has done that here in Indiantown since the early 80s. They've supported our local organizations, our infrastructure, and the folks who live here. That kind of commitment matters in a small town like ours. For me, this really comes down to making sure we're creating opportunities for our folks who live here, for our families, for our small businesses, and for the next generation growing up here. Very crucial. We all want a strong Indiantown. We want good jobs, a stable tax base, very important, and a community that can grow to grow without losing what makes it special. We've all heard of a lot of different opinions, and that's part of living in a close community. But it's important that we don't let assumptions and some misinformation get ahead of the actual facts. This approach gives us a chance to keep asking questions, and it's very important. I've enjoyed the conversations. Keep reviewing the details and make sure anything that comes forward is done carefully in a way that fits our community. At the end of the day, I just want to see our community have the opportunity to grow in a way that benefits everyone who lives here. I respectfully ask the PZA board to recommend approval of this item so it can continue to move through the right process and be reviewed further by the village council. Thank you very much.
Eric Miller.
Good evening, folks. I'd just like to start out by saying that we have publicly called for the recusal of 2 of the people that are on this panel for the obvious reason that was just shown by the CEO of the Indiantown, or the Economic Council of Indiantown. There are overlapping interests, especially when the Economic Indiantown Council flies people gratis as a trip to Loudon to look at data centers. Anyway, FP&L has been, and will be, since you're not recusing, we are filing state charges, ethics charges on Form 50 for that. Anyway, FP&L has been a good member to this community up until these projects. Now they're hiding behind NDAs. They're not talking to people. But people like the Indiantown Economic Council are talking to the players and the people with the votes, telling them not to worry, that everything's going to be fine. They're the gold standard. This data center that FP&L wants to put in is going to be gold standard. Well, if it's such gold standard and you want to work with the community, FPL, you're here tonight. Are you willing to sit down at a table and use Senate Bill 484 as a framework to postpone any future development for such time that a community-reviewed process can take place to use Senate Bill 484 to enhance the unstructured code that exists? See, the code here only handles buildings up to 500,000. You're asking for something 2 million. This code doesn't handle things like ultrasound. The grades of recording the sound and the environmental issues, they're not there. The EPA and South Florida Water Management District aren't going to do it. So we want tighter standards, like metering. How much water are you going to use? Okay, so these are some of the questions we would like to have answered. And if you are the good community partners that you have been in the past, because you were really good to us as the Indiantown Veterans Association, but that was when you needed something from us, you came to us and you quelled our fears. You have done nothing for this community to date to quell any fears, but to call people that say that this is happening liars. And that's not good neighbors. I'm sorry. So, again, I ask in the interest of unity, are we willing to postpone any data centers in Indiantown for the purpose of all involved sitting at a table and using your gold standard that we're supposed to take and eat to update our LDRs like Senate Bill 484 allows us to do? That's my question, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Sally Comiskey.
Hi. Excuse me. My name's Sally Comiskey. Good evening. I came here from New Jersey. I've been called Jersey here. And I came here 12 years ago. And this is my new home. Being in Jersey we went through similar things. I don't know if you've heard of Aaron Brockovich. Well, that was with PSE&G, which is equivalent to FPL. And I don't know if you saw the movie, but they have to have things in place that say, well, what if there was a fire? Who's going to get the water first? What about the global warming you're putting upon this community that you so love? I'm not a solar panel person because you can't eat them, but so you have a solar panel, but I agree with Mr. Miller, and all we're asking is for a seat at the table that we were never given, and everybody claims to love this town. I don't see it. I don't see. You know what I see? A bunch of people who have businesses, and then back in 2025, you have the IEC. Wow. Where are the sunshine laws for that one? There's just so much going on. And I think if you just pause and give the community a little time to catch up, because our stuff is not misinformation. They are not lies. We have a lot of things, and I'm sure you all know it. You ask AI, can you tell me about AI even tells you how bad this is. But if people are willing to sit down, and we're just looking for a pause, somebody to make a motion and second it, and just pause. Thank you.
Linda Bisco.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Bisco. I live in Clementsville. I hear everyone talking about the zone change. The zone changes when you're changing codes. There's not a right to a code change. The code changes are, you can't just buy a piece of agriculture land and then ask to have it changed and expect for it just to be changed. There's no right or guarantee to that. And your job is to keep that from happening. There's a reason why certain areas are zoned the way they are, and it's lined up with the comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan says to keep it rural. And when you're annexing so much land to industrial, you now have 43% of this town industrial. I think when the 5722 acres were annexed in, I'm sorry I didn't have the opportunity to talk about it before. My husband was in the hospital. But I think it should have been zoned separately. I don't think 5,722 acres should have been zoned industrial in this little town. I heard one of the speakers talk about an industrial corridor. I don't think we should be in an industrial corridor, not with our comprehensive plan. It just bothers me that it was called an industrial corridor. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was FPL power generation plants. We already have one that's polluting our community. Environmental Protection Agency, 47 million tons of carbon dioxide in the last 10 years from this plant we already have. 10,000 tons of nitrogen oxides, 198 tons of ammonia over the past decade. That's a lot of pollution. Now you're talking about another power generation plant, maybe 2, each data center, which we know there's 2 already. And now we believe the 3rd, the Project Parrot. They're all supposed to have their own power generation. You think the data centers are bad? Now you're piling that on top. Power generation is just as bad as the data centers. They use a lot of water, they're noisy, they're a drain on the resources. And I know we need it, but if we don't have these data centers, we don't need the extra power generation. Thank you.
Rosaria Martinez.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rosaria. I'm up here today for obvious reasons, because of development discussions. I support the businesses and, realty and all this development, but there's a lot more other spots to try to develop this FPL factory that you guys want to build. This is a town, this is not a city. And there's a lot more problems in town than to be giving all the new resources just for that factory. What about the resources for the people that are already here? Like, it's a shame that you want to give this building new electricity resources, new water, like new AC. I definitely think this factory isn't the spot for town. It's out of town's league. And yeah, I definitely think this is just crazy. Sometimes, like, I can't really believe this is even going on, that the people that run Indiantown, have let Terralago come in and these two other communities. But, it's like a wake-up call for everybody now to come together as a community and realize what's happening in front of our faces, and just letting them, everybody run us over, I guess. But I just feel like Indiantown's just being used, and I think Indiantown deserves a lot more respect than just to be come through and ran through. Like, this area is like this for a reason. It's not a place to just come dump a factory here just so it can be used, and it's not even beneficial to anybody here. It's just gonna degrade Indiantown as it is, and the people that are here. You're saying that there's employment opportunities. People already work out of town. Like, this is not a job that's going to be entry level. You have to go to school for it, and yeah, that's just a whole nother thing. But I appreciate everybody coming out here today. I appreciate your business. I respect it. I love the businesses, but I definitely think you should look into another land. Like, there's a whole bunch of other land around here. Like, Indiantown is not it. Thank you.
Jennifer Longshore.
Good evening. Bear with me, I've recently been sick, so my voice is a little shoddy. For the record, I'm Jennifer Longshore, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Indiantown Chamber of Commerce. In my role, I work closely with local businesses, residents, and community leaders here in Indiantown, and I see every day how important planning is to the future of our village. Respectfully, I urge you all to support FPL's PUD zoning agreement. FPNL has been a strong, long-standing community partner here in Indiantown and has regularly supported local organizations and community initiatives, from the schools to community events to places like the Indiantown Veterans Association. We appreciate FPNL's approach of a planned unit development because this allows opportunity to establish guardrails and work directly with our village staff to develop the best possible plan for Indiantown. We trust they will put together a plan that will benefit our entire community, not just for our generational families, but for future families also. I ask for approval of this item so it can continue through the proper process and be considered further by the Village Council. Thank you.
Josh Kellum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Josh Kellum, CEO of the Garcia Companies, developer of Terralago community down the street, and somebody that has grown to love the village of Indiantown. And I can stand up here in front of you all and confidently say that. And I think I've met each one of you all, and we've worked on a number of issues together. And as this issue comes forth, we've heard a lot of good comments tonight about the trusted partnership in Florida Power and Light. And I want to add to that. I want to support the PUD amendment tonight but I want to talk about a trusted partner that's been in the village of Indiantown for a very, very long time. Somebody that has created jobs, somebody that has created economic growth, somebody that has brought first-class operations to everything that they have done in the village of Indiantown. Somebody that put their money where their mouth was and bought an old, antiquated coal plant and shut it down and tore it down. Somebody that has invested into the village of Indiantown, that cares about the village of Indiantown, just like we care about the village of Indiantown. And we have invested significant money into the village of Indiantown in trying to bring development in the right way, trying to bring attainability for people of Indiantown to be able to buy houses, to be able to afford homes. And with the investment that we have made in the village of Indiantown, we now are in heightened awareness and investigation of what's to come to Indiantown. Because of our passion for Indiantown and our investment in Indiantown, we care about what comes to Indiantown. We care about the businesses, and every business that has come to the village of Indiantown since our investment in 2020, we have sat down with, had conversations with, tried to understand what it is that they're trying to accomplish with Indiantown, and does it align with Indiantown's vision and mission. And if we're going to sit at the table with a partner that's going to bring economic growth to Indiantown, Florida Power and Light's one of the partners that I want to sit with. They're somebody that is not going to invest in a community that's going to bring somebody that's not going to be state of the art, no matter what it is, whether it's electrical generation, whether it's substations, whether it's solar energy, whether it's data center, whatever it may be. They're going to put their name behind whoever is the best of the best. And so I stand here asking you all to support the passage of this PUD amendment and to make sure we continue to align the village of Indiantown with people that are going to invest in the people of Indiantown first and foremost before going outside. So thank you for your time.
Brian Powers.
Thank you, Brian Powers, for the record. I'll say first, it's an honor to be here before you. You know, I was part of a group of people that fought like hell so we could have this conversation in this room and not have to go to the county to talk to a group of people that never really cared. So it's an absolute honor. And for I think a lot of people, it seems like a lot of land, and we don't really know, right? But I think it's helpful at a time like this to focus on what we do know. You know, for more than 30 years, we've had 500,000 square feet of chicken farm houses. They have 20 fans per building. That's over 300 fans. Nobody ever heard them. The land that this is situated on is a former citrus grove at 120 trees per acre. That's about 4,800 gallons per acre per day. It's over 24 million gallons. Now, they didn't use it every day, but that's only 3 to 4 days a week. Plus, they use copper sulfate for fertilizers. They use things like Roundup. Pretty sure we won't have issues like that with a data center. I don't know if you guys know this, but the FP&L Martin plant that we have now that is producing power every single day, combined cycle units are literally jet engines. I don't think anybody in this room has ever said, I've heard the generating units at the power plant. I think that's a trend that however this is built, we can continue to expect. Beyond that, you know, when I think about FP&L as a partner, we have things today. The Civic Center next door would have never happened. It was very close to being demolished when they stepped up to say, we'll rehab it into what it is today. So, and that was long before they needed anything. That was 40 years ago. Also, the Career Center that's across from the Y, they put all the money into that. They didn't look for a partner or anything else. In addition, they are the charter members and co-founders of the Indiantown Education Coalition that has given hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships since then. Beyond good neighbors, they're good partners. I'd get it if this was somebody we never knew, but this is somebody that has proven that they can be trusted. As the P in PUD implies, this is really about whether this happens with a plan, without a plan. I can't believe that you get a chance to downzone or downsize the square footage by 250x, not 250%, 250 times to go from a $500 million to 2. Take that any day you can get it, and they're putting in writing that there will never be residential on there. I don't think you'll ever get a better deal than that, and I encourage you to move it on. Thank you.
That's all, Madam Chair.